The OM-5 Mark II is designed for landscape photography. It's rugged and weather sealed and very, very lightweight. So what better opportunity than to take it around Iceland and show you what it's capable of. And before anybody says anything, this video is not sponsored in any way by OM System. This trip just coincided with my annual photography trip with my dad, though they have sent me the camera on a very short-term loan. This video is sponsored by Squarespace. First on the agenda was the geysers. Super exciting. Hot, bubbly, mostly smelly, volcanic water and gas coming out of the earth.
Smells like farts.
Every 10 minutes or so, this one would erupt. It was a lot of waiting around with the camera, holding it in place. But because the OM-5 Mark II was so light, it was really easy to do. I didn't feel fatigued at all. Now, the place was quite the tourist trap, as you can imagine, even later on into the evening. So I decided to just go with it, and I added in the people into some of my compositions, and I quite like how that turned out. I think human for scale in this instance really shows off how far these things can erupt. The mechanical burst mode on the OM-5 Mark II was plenty fast enough for this sort of scenario. I didn't need to go into the electronic burst modes, which are faster. And just a note as well, all the images in this video from the OM-5 Mark II are just lightly edited and tinkered with JPEGs because I don't have access to the raw files just yet. So if you see the odd blown out sky, for example, in the raw file I'll be able to pull it back, but at the moment I'm just working with JPEGs. I've edited these with my Chasing Adventure pack if you like the look of them, and they work wonders even on lowly JPEGs, so imagine what they can do to the raw files. Anyway, here are my updated thoughts on the ergonomics now that I've used it in the real world for many hours. I find the new edition of the computational photography button a bit of a pain in the bum, to be honest. It works wonders on the OM System OM-3 because it's out of the way on that camera, but here it's right near your video recording button. The annoying thing is if you tap it, say if I'm trying to get a bit of video footage and I try and tap it, but I tap the CP button by accident, it defaults to the first one in the list, which happens to be high-res photography mode. And if you take a photograph in that mode, it sort of blocks the camera for like a minute as it stitches it all together. So if you do this at the wrong time, it can be quite costly. I love the function of that button where you can press and hold and then toggle through everything. I think that's a great time-saving feature, but the fact that you can just tap it once and it goes into the first one in the list is quite annoying rather than helpful where it is on the OM-5 Mark II. Works great on the OM-3, to be fair. There were many wonderful waterfalls on this trip, and this one was one of the few that you could actually get really close to. I thought it was time I tested the weather sealing and I just went to town, didn't I? No messing around, let's just get it in the water. I thought that might be the extent of it, with the weather being quite nice, but little did I know I had many more opportunities to get this camera wet as the holiday continued. So today I had a plan A of going on the rib boat, and in the past when I've done these it's been a really great experience where, you know, you get absolutely soaked and the waves hit you and everything, but we were blessed with the most beautiful flat sea ever. So plan B, I tried to take some birds at sea photos with the OM-5 Mark II and the Olympus 40-150 lens, and I had more success than I thought, to be honest. So this evening I came back out to try the puffins and it was just too advanced for that autofocus system. I very quickly swapped back to the OM-3. Here are some different examples on how both cameras performed. And of course I was just doing this as a bit of an experiment, to be honest. The OM-5 Mark II isn't really designed for fast-moving, unpredictable subjects. The phase detect autofocus will get you so far, but you really do need the subject detection for it to lock on, in my experience. One of the best things about the OM-5 Mark II is just how small and light it is, and I keep banging on about this, but this is really the beauty of Micro Four Thirds, in my opinion. When I've needed to hold the same position for a long period of time, like when I'm waiting for a geyser to erupt, for example, it's no fatigue, it's no problem because the camera is really light. When I've done little walks and hikes, I've just had the camera on my lovely little crossed neck strap, and it weighs nothing. It may as well just not be there. It is so light. The same can't really be said for the OM-3. It is that little bit bigger and a little bit heavier as well. Oh, the icebergs. I had some of my favourite photographs from this little part of the world. The blue, fresh icebergs, the snow on the mountains, the black volcanic sand. There was just so much drama, and I absolutely loved so many juxtapositions between the man-made elements against this sort of wilderness in the background. I thought it was a beautiful place to take photos. I had no trouble whatsoever getting close to the sea and the waves with the OM-5 Mark II. I knew it would be absolutely fine, and I got a really nice wide-angle shot of some of the little icebergs that have washed up on the sand. I had no problem in general putting my cameras down in the sand or getting into the spray. It was all absolutely fine, and I love this spot so much that we came back twice. On the second time, only one day later, so much of the ice had changed and moved, and because the tide was coming in at that point, it sort of made like iceberg soup, which caused the birds to be very confused. So I had a little go of birds in flight while I was there, and I saw a seal in the sea. It was very cute. One thing I wish I'd seen more of on the OM-5 Mark II is more custom modes on the dial. There's just one C button on the dial, not like the OM3 where you can just choose 4 physical custom modes on the dial and set it up very customized to how you want to shoot in any given circumstance. Now, I think this waterfall gave me my favourite shots on this entire trip, and the majority of them were with the OM-5 Mark II. The waterfall was absolutely thunderous. I hope this footage shows off just how big and loud and monstrous it really is. The rocks were slippery and there were a lot of people around, so it was quite challenging for photography. I definitely didn't want to be one of those tripod warriors setting up and getting soaked and trying to get long exposures. Live ND came in clutch. Now, this was very wet. There was no chance whatsoever of either camera coming out unscathed, so I just thought, sod it, let's go. Let's just get it done. So I went as close as I possibly could to this waterfall to get some really interesting shots. And to my absolute joy, when I got to the side of the waterfall, I could see that there was a rainbow at the bottom. I have to say, there is nothing other than like photography spidey senses that enabled me to get this shot, which I think is my favourite from the waterfall at the bottom. I could literally not see at this point because I was so soaked, and I just saw someone walking across and they were grabbing the hood and looking all struggled, and I thought, if they get in the right spot with the shadow and the rainbow, this could be special. And I just kind of went pew, pew, pew. Even like eyeballed the focal length as well. I took off 3 shots, I think, of this, and luckily one of them, the subject, was exactly where I wanted them to be. Super duper proud of this. And this is the unedited version, and this is the edited version, so I even got it pretty straight as well. Well, I sincerely hope that both of these cameras are as weather sealed as they say. That was so worth it for the photos though. Hopefully. The technique for this as well was an absolute nightmare. It was either keep the lens caps on and fiddle with them and end up dropping them on the floor and causing holy hell, or you could kind of hide the lens with your hand and keep it out of the way, and then a quick microfiber cloth brush, couple of seconds literally before there was water everywhere again. Everything got soaked. I tried my best, and I'm really happy that these cameras enabled me to work quickly before the water hit the lenses again. I think the weather sealing on both the OM-5 Mark II and the OM3 is superb. I don't think you could stress test it any worse than what I've done, short of literally dropping it in the ocean, and both cameras have come out unscathed and perfectly fine. And you know, the OM3 and the lens on the OM-5 Mark II is my personal property, so I was pretty confident it would be fine. I did put my money where my mouth was, so to speak. Then I did the walk to the top, which was bloomin' epic. There was a big rainbow at the top, and I just thought, this is like something out of a fairy tale. This is insane. Again, there was spray everywhere, so it was very much trying to get the shot done as quickly as possible without getting crap all over the lens. I got some great shots, and I'm really happy that I had cameras with me that enabled me to get in and amongst it. Very in and amongst it. One of my long-standing frustrations with this camera body design, and also on the OM3 to be fair, is the on and off switch is on the left and you have a 1-2 dial on the right. Now, we all know by now probably that you can convert the 1-2 dial to the on-off switch, which is great. It's a great workaround if you're doing street photography and you want to just pick up the camera and turn the camera on right-handed with one hand. However, it then takes away the 1-2 functionality, and on the OM5 Mark II, the custom buttons are few and far between. And 2, the on and off button becomes completely redundant. You can leave it in on, you can leave it in off, it really doesn't matter. I just wish there was an option to just switch them in the menu rather than completely disable the on and off button. That way we could still have the 1-2 toggle but use the on and off button to toggle it, and then have the right side as the on and off switch, if that makes any sense. I had a lot of comments on my original OM5 Mark II review about the base plate. Because of the plastic build, some people have reported that the base plate at the bottom can be quite prone to cracking. I've had this happen on my Lumix G100 and it's not fun. Now, in the briefing that I had in the brief briefing I had with OM System before the camera came out, they didn't mention any differences whatsoever. And I assume if there was a difference, because there's not many new things to shout about in this camera, I assume they would have told me. So as I stand, there is no update to the base plate. It's the same materials and the same design. So I imagine you could run into the same problems, unfortunately. If anyone knows any different, just let me know in the comments and I'll stick a pinned comment. But as it stands, I do think it's still prone to cracking if you've experienced that problem in the past. I think it's fair to say that there's been a mixed reception with this camera. Some people are happy to see the new menus and to see a refresh, and some people think it's not a big enough upgrade. And I totally see where both people are coming from with this. It's not a huge upgrade. Like if you had a Lumix G9 and then you saw that the G9 II came out and suddenly we have phase detect autofocus and we have a different camera body and we have all this cool stuff additionally, that's a huge jump, and that will get existing users onto the new model. The OM5 Mark II to me is more of just a refresh of what's already working. So it's not necessarily for the people that already have the OM5. It might be for someone who's never had an OM System camera before and now they just have a refreshed version of the entry-level model. However, I do totally agree with a lot of the comments that I've been having where people are saying that we need a bigger upgrade in Micro Four Thirds in general at some point soon, certainly within the next year or two, because this is still similar sensors that we've had for a long time. It's still similar components in different outfits, if you will, like with the OM3. We do need to see some innovation. With the Lumix G9 II, we got that brand new 25 megapixel sensor, and we did see some innovation, and that's really, really cool. I think the same thing needs to happen at some point on OM System side too. As you can see in this video, you can still get phenomenally good results, not to toot my own horn, with the existing kit, but that's not the point, is it? If other brands are progressing, giving us more megapixels or different computational features or better video features, then it only makes sense that we do expect to see it on the Micro Four Thirds system too. Yeah, I think it's accomplished what it set out to accomplish, but I do want more new stuff down the pipeline, please. Somebody, one brand, either brand, anything. The thing that I have loved the most on this trip is live ND. I've always tried to get a wishy-washy long exposure photo and a standard one, because sometimes I do like the drama of freezing water in place. But having seen dozens and dozens of photographers around Iceland going the whole 9 yards, you know, you've got your tripod, you've got your knees in the water, you're trying to clean your filters, you're trying to get the long exposure shot with all this extra stuff. And then I can just walk over and go, right, okay. It did make me feel like a boss. I bet on the outside, my camera looked quite amateurish compared to their setup, but it got exactly the same results 10 times quicker and I didn't have to get my knees wet. I was concerned on the OM5 Mark II that the ND16 might not cut it on a bright day, but as you can see in these images, I had some very, very bright days, uncharacteristically bright days in Iceland, and it was fine. If you want more live ND goodness, then you do get up to ND64 in the OM3 and the OM1 Mark II, but what you have in the OM5 Mark II is more than enough to get the job done. So I think the OM5 Mark II will be absolutely ideal for a certain person. I think if you are going to do trips like going to Iceland and getting close to waterfalls, being in the snow, anything like that, you want camera equipment that will be trustworthy. And this is certainly trustworthy when it comes to the elements. And I don't think that's really a selling point for any other brand that I can think of. I think OM System really have cornered the market for this rugged, weather-sealed camera, and they've gone out of the way to properly certify it as well. If that appeals to you, if you are that certain demographic where you do want something that's all weather, This is blooming brilliant. As far as the colour, I think it's really grown on me. I think if and when I buy one of these with my own money, I will be going for the prosthetic leg beige, as Kai called it. And someone in the comments called it a PlayStation 1 owned by a chain smoker, which made me hoot. I would love to see some other variations. You know, maybe an olive green would be nice, and that would be great with the outdoor theme as well. You know me, I love a fun coloured camera. These are not necessarily going to be professional, customer-facing tools, so you may as well have fun with them. Let me just quickly tell you about the sponsor of today's video, Squarespace. I've been using Squarespace myself for years, and it's where I host my website, microphonenerds.com, where I sell my workshops and my presets, and I show some of my photography portfolio, and I blog about nerdy things. Squarespace couldn't make it easier for you. If you're like me and you have absolutely no prior knowledge on how to build a website or design or anything like that, you can use their tools to create something professional very, very quickly. And you can just grow your website with the services that they offer as you develop. It could just stay as a blog if you want, or it could be a place where you run your entire business from, like I do. So if you'd like to give Squarespace a go, check out the link in the description and use the code MICRO4NERDS to get a discount off your first purchase of a website or a domain. And a huge thank you to Squarespace, as always, for sponsoring this channel. So what do I think of this camera now that I've used it for many hours? Well, I love it. Well, I loved the old version and the version before that and the version before that and the version before that. I think the updates are welcome but relatively minimal, and sometimes it's a matter of if it ain't broke, don't fix it. And I have to say, it's pretty much the last bastion of the newer Micro Four Thirds cameras that is actually blooming small. So it is the most Micro Four 30 Micro Four Thirds camera that you can buy. That's a direct quote. I think they should put that on the advert. The OM-5 Mark II, the most Micro Four 30 Micro Four Thirds camera. So I hope you enjoyed my little trip around Iceland. I have many more videos coming from this trip, so subscribe for that. And do let me know in the comments your thoughts and feelings on the OM-5 Mark II. Oh, and watch my original review if you haven't already.